There's basically no difference between scheduling a meeting and an appointment except for one key thing, and that is with the meeting, you can invite somebody via email. And as a recap, when it comes to scheduling an appointment, you can come up here on the Home tab to the New Group, and there it is, as opposed to a new meeting. Now the difference between the two, well, you can see the two dudes here, is that when you have an appointment and you're going to invite somebody to join you, that's what's called a meeting, according to Outlook here. So if I click on New Appointment, you can see up at the top it's called Appointment, and you're going to have the same fields down below in the meeting when it comes to scheduling that, but in addition to what you see here, like the subject, location, the start, end dates, and times, you're going to have a to field that you can type in an email address or as many as you want to invite those people to your appointment, which would be a meeting. And if you're in here and you're like, well, wait a second, I want to schedule a meeting, you don't have to close out of this. You can actually convert the appointment to a meeting by coming over here and in the attendees group, click on Invite. When you click on it, there you go. Up at the top, it goes from appointment to meeting. You get the same fields down below, but in addition, you get the send button and also the to fields. So when you type in somebody's email address, you need to send it off. And then in addition to that, if you're connected to the Microsoft Exchange server, you get the Rooms button and the Room Finder task pane, which we'll go over in just a minute. And then if you're like, no, I changed my mind, I want to go back to scheduling an appointment, I don't want to invite anybody, you can close out. Or if you actually want to schedule an appointment and you don't want to recreate it, just go ahead in the attendees group and click on Cancel Invitation, and you're back to an appointment. Let's go ahead and close out. And if that's not the way that you're going about doing this, you can go right directly to New Meeting, click on it, and there you go, same window. So when you want to invite somebody, you can go ahead and type in their email address. Let's type in oh, there you go. With it highlighted, hit the tab key and it pulls their name right in. Now what you need to know is that when you send this off to Carrie, she's going to get the option on her end to accept this meeting, reject it, propose a new time, or mark it as tentative, like, well, I'm not sure if I can make it just yet. And you'll get those responses, which we'll talk about in our later training video. For right now, I want to keep it simple. And in addition to this, whenever you type in an email address in the to field, by default, they're required, or on their end, they'll get the message that says that they're required to attend the meeting. If they're not required, but their attendance is optional, then to go ahead and to change that, you have to click on the To button. And down below, you can see the fields required, optional, and, well, resources. We'll go over in just a minute. So you can see it's required. So anytime you type in an email address here, it puts them right in the required field. To change that, well, go ahead and delete it. And then with the person's name selected up above, just come down below and click on Optional. Or if they're not listed and you want to go ahead and type in their email addresses, well, type them in the Optional field. And remember, if you have more than one, use the delimiter semicolon to separate each of those email addresses. So their email address semicolon, another email address semicolon, and so on. And then when you're done, click OK, and you'll see here there's nothing that identifies if they're optional or required, unless, again, you click on the To field. But on their end, they'll see it, and we'll cover that in a later training video. Let's keep it simple here. And then down below, the subject of this meeting. Hey, we have fun meetings. We like to carve pumpkins. That's just the way we roll here. Let's go and do the location. You can type in a location. Smashing Pumpkins Farms. That's a pretty cool place to go. Or if you want, you can come over here if you're connected to the Exchange server, and if you're doing it at the office, the IT person has it set up. You can click on Rooms, or you can click on the drop-down arrow. If it's something that was done recently, it will have the most recent ones listed here. You can select it, but you can go ahead and click on Rooms, and it opens up, and we only have one room, training room, so it's either booked or it's not. In any case, if you got more training rooms, it might be training room 1, 2, 3, 4, or the gauntlet room, whatever you name them. Just go ahead with it selected, click on Rooms, and click OK. And it's going to update the location from Smashing Pumpkins to, well, yes, to training room. So let's go ahead and clear that out. And you'll see it listed up here, the training room, which is in the To field. Now, why is that? Let's go ahead and click on the To button. It's a resource. And what's going on here is that the Exchange server is keeping track of this, because after we select it, it's not going to show it over here, because the room finder, we need to find out if this room is available. And because it's on a Saturday during a non-working time, it's not going to update it and show us. It's like, well, we don't work during those hours. Again, by default, it's Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, the default working times for Outlook. And I'll show you in a later training video how you can change that. And so if it's like on a weekday, let me come down here and change the start date and time, go to the 5th, and then you can see it's updating it over here. Choose an available room. and it's available, and you can see it's available from 8 to 8:30, from 8:30 to 9, and I'm not going to do it during hours. And if I scroll down to the bottom, again, the standard default is Monday through Friday from 8 to 5, so if I schedule it after, I can't see if it's available because that's after hours, but in any case, I'll go ahead and do that. And if it's in conflict with somebody else who has it scheduled, it'll show up over here that says, it's not available, it's busy. In any case, let's see, 5 to 5:30, half hour's not long enough to carve a good pumpkin. Let's go ahead and do to 6 p.m. Refreshes, make sure everything's grizzly over here as it connects to the Exchange server, and if it's still available, there you go, it's available. Otherwise, it would let you know that it's not available during those times. So you can take a gander really quick. That way you can mark it off. If it's not available here, here, or here, you can say, well, I guess I'll have to schedule it at a later time. But ours is after hours, and it's not showing me that anybody else has it scheduled, so we're good. Now, another option you may want to consider is the scheduling assistant. It's up here on the meeting tab in the show group, and it's right there, and it's going to be available whether you're connected to the Exchange server or not, but it's only really helpful when you're connected to the Exchange server because that way you can find the best times for the meeting by checking other people's calendars. So is Carrie busy from 5 to 6 p.m. October the 5th? Before I go ahead and send it off and say, hey, and then get into this thing of like, hey, I'm already busy, why don't you check this scheduling assistant? Well, let's go ahead and check it to be sure. Click on it, updates the window, and okay, here we go. All the attendees, me, Carrie, and the training room. In the training room, when you look over and it shows you the time, well, for the date down below, October the 5th, because you can't see it, it's not showing you up in the main window here, but you can see down below it is October the 5th. And it's from 5 to 6. Now from 5 to 6, up at the top, where all attendees, it's got blue. What does blue mean? Down below it says it's busy. Well, so out of all the attendees down below, which one has the blue bar? And if you look and you go over, it is Carrie. She is busy from 5 to 6. Now, if that's not going to work, how do we fix this? Do we just go ahead and cancel the meeting? Or, better yet, how about if we just schedule it beforehand? Hover over the left-hand side as one way to go ahead and reschedule the appointment until you can see arrows pointing in opposite directions, then click and drag that out. Okay, now it's a 2-hour meeting, but we're going to go ahead and click and drag the end of it back over, so now it's an hour meeting and not during the time that she's already has something else scheduled that shows here as being busy. Now you can do it down below, of course. You can go ahead and change with the date picker a different day, and also, change the hours here. In fact, you can also do something like 4:01 and hit enter. And this, of course, isn't going to show how minute it is. It's basically from 4 to 5. And then if you want a reminder, go ahead and click on it. I'm going to choose none. Now you can come over here and add names, and being connected to the Exchange server, it'll populate here. So instead of going back to the other view, by coming up here and clicking appointment, you can add as many names as you want here. And if you want, you can send it from here, but let's go back to the appointment. Everything looks grizzly. Go ahead and click send, and away it goes. And it's marked on my calendar at that time, October the 5th, from 4 to, well, it says 4, but when you hover over it, you can get the end time there. Location, the training room, and no reminder. Now that's what it's like when you're connected to a Microsoft Exchange server. But what if you're not? How do you handle scheduling meetings? I mean, the steps are pretty much the same, except for you don't get the rooms option. Let me go ahead and show you. Let me close out of here and open up Outlook again, only this time, when I double click, instead of choosing the Exchange, I've got another Outlook profile that's not connected. Select it, click OK. Come down below, go to the calendar, and then we need to jump right to October. So to do that, instead of clicking next, 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 we're clicking and holding down the month and the year in the Date Navigator and going down to June and then doing it again to go out another 3 months. If you go past June with your left mouse button held down, it will start to go month by month. If you hold it down and go down really far, whoops, it goes too far. Okay, let's go back up just a wee bit until we get right back to, there we go, October 2018. So there's a nice little extra tidbit there when it comes to the Date Navigator. In any case, we want to go ahead and schedule this on Friday the 5th. So to do that, well, you can right click on it and go to New Meeting Request. Left click on that. Opens it up. It's from Special K. And you get the same fields as when you're connected to the Exchange server, except you don't get the room button and the room finder. So how do you schedule the rooms? Let me go ahead and quickly set this up. So let's see, we want to do Carrie, and there it is, Carrie Heffernan, hit the tab key. And again, click on the to button, because if she's required, then you're good to go. If not, then delete it here and come down in the optional section, type in her email address, or, well, there she is up there. You can go ahead and, okay, let me come down here and click on optional and add her there. And then, of course, I can delete that. In any case, go ahead and click OK. And then the subject is going to be. Now for the location, if you want it to set this up where you can actually schedule a room, how you can do that is you can come back up here, click on the to button, and for your resources, have up here an email address that has the name of the room in it, and actually have somebody who's in charge of that. Like for example, if we just came down here and we typed in room 102 at dreamforce.us. So I would assign somebody this email address, like maybe the administrative assistant. And if we had 3 rooms, I could have like room 101, room 102, room 103 at dreamforce.us, and she would be in charge of all those emails. So she would have it set up, extra email accounts in her Outlook program. So anytime that she got this, it would be like an invite to her, but not really to her, but for that room. So when she got this and she looked at the date and times and she says, well, let's go ahead and click OK. As you can see, the location is going to be that email address. And she gets this and she's like, oh, wait a second. On my calendar that she's looking at, she sees that somebody else has that time. So then she can go ahead and reply and propose a new time, which we'll talk about in a later training video, or just totally reject it and say, no, that doesn't work, or accept it, in which case you're good to go and you're scheduled for that room at that time. So that's the workaround. Otherwise, Smashing Pumpkins Farms. Of course, we don't want it here. We want it at, let's do 5, and it's not AM. We can go ahead and do PM, hit the tab key, and it'll update the second field, the end time, to the half-hour increment beyond the start time here. Click on the drop-down arrow and do 6 PM. And then let's get rid of the room email address here, and let's invite Mr. Humphreys, hit the tab key. And again, he's required. Click on the to button. He's done some right in the required field. Of course, we can go ahead and change that. I'm not. He's required. Carrie's not. She may not be able to attend that night. Well, when we were connected to the Exchange server in that scenario, she wasn't able to attend from 5 to 6, so we had to go from 4 to 5. But in this scenario, she doesn't have anything scheduled that night, which, by the way, when you come up here in the show group and click on scheduling, the scheduling assistant, you get these lines, which means there's no information because we're not connected as in to the Exchange server. So we can only tell by looking at us if we're busy here. And you can see it's in a shade of gray, which means that it's outside of working hours. Yeah, I'm good with that. In any case, you can go ahead and click send or go back to the appointment. And everything looks grisly. Let's go ahead and click on send. Away it goes, and it's scheduled right there. Thanks for watching. Hey, as a quick reminder, if you like my video, please give it a thumbs up. You can also click on me and subscribe to my channel to get notified of the latest videos. And for great specials on my products, please see the description below this video.